Hey guys, welcome to my channel and welcome back to another video. So in today's video, I wanted to talk to you guys about the ending of Manifest Season 3, Episode 6 because I have a lot of questions, I have a lot of theories, and I have a lot of more questions surrounding the ending of Manifest Episode 6. If you guys have not seen Manifest Season 3 Episode 6, there will be spoilers for the episode, obviously, in this video, as I'm going to be explaining the ending and what happened and my thoughts on it and my interpretation of it and what it means going forward in Manifest Season 3 and as well future seasons. So again, there will be spoilers. If you have not seen Manifest Season 3 Episode 6 and you do not want to know what happens, maybe don't watch this video because I'm literally about to explain what happens. So there's your spoiler warning. So for those of you that have seen Manifest Season 3 Episode 6, you're probably just as confused as I am and wondering what just happened and what does it mean for the rest of the Manifest Flight 828 passengers, and what does it mean about the death date, and is everything we know about the death date, was it wrong? Were we wrong this entire time? Most likely, because if there's anything I know about Manifest is that when you have one question answered, you get about 1,000 more to go with that answer. So nothing is ever answered without more questions. And you guys would know that if you watch any episode of Manifest ever from seasons 1, 2, or 3. So in Manifest Season 3, Episode 6, obviously you have Pete, Corey, and Jace, who are, Jace is trying to kill Michaela, and Corey and Pete are trying to figure out how to not die. And so the ending of Episode 6 was where, Jace basically died because he didn't choose to redeem himself, and he chose vengeance instead of, choosing a different path like Corey and Pete, instead of trying to, make better decisions this time around in life. Jace just chose revenge and went after Michaela and then Cal. And then in the ending scene, we see Jace die, just like we did with Griffin back in, I can't remember what season that was. Anyway, he died, and his death date happened, and he did not beat it like Zeke, he died. Anyway, and then everyone thought that since Corey and Pete didn't choose revenge and made better choices and chose to, try to live instead of, make bad choices again, that they would survive the death date because, again, they didn't choose revenge like Jace. And I gotta be honest, when I first watched this episode, I was like, yeah, I think they're gonna live. That's what I think we were meant to believe, because that is what the rest of the characters, I think, thought, is that Corey and Pete chose to redeem themselves, and Jace chose vengeance. So, yeah, everything is fine, and Jace dies, and for a split second, Corey and Pete think that they're fine because they did not die like Jace. And then Cal comes out and sees this black, shadowy figure, where Jace was, and he's like, does anyone, or where he's lying on the ground, I should say, and he's like, does anyone see that? And then there's this black mystery figure and mist and some kind of thing, just like that we saw in the drawing in the trial thing. This episode was so confusing. Anyway, and then Cal's the only one that sees it, I think, if I'm reading the scene right and I understand what's happening, I think Cal's the only one that can see it at first, and then the rest of them do as well. And then Corey and Pete get dragged in by this black figure, and then they get like engulfed in it, and then they die too. So I'm like, well, that's a twist, and I did not see that coming. But I kind of did because it's all connected, so I don't know. So what I think this means for the future of Manifest is that we learned from Olive in this episode that, you know, Corey and Pete and Jace, they all came back together. Just like the rest of the Flight 828 passengers, they all came back together and they all died together on the same death date. That's what Olive figured out. And the last trial that we learned about in last night's episode where, you know, it's from Egyptian mythology, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. I could be wrong, but it's something to do with, like, yeah, anyway. And we learned about that, and two of them choose to redeem themselves, like Corey and Pete, and then one of them chooses vengeance, and that, in this case, is Jace. But because they all came back together, and they had the same death date, I think, at least what I think after watching the episode, is that because Jace did not choose to redeem himself, even though Corey and Pete did, because they're all connected, because they're all connected, if only one of them screws up and doesn't choose to redeem himself, like Jace, they all have to pay the consequences and die. Okay, so that means then that all the Flight 828 passengers have to follow the callings, have to complete the callings, or all the Flight 828 passengers will die on the death date. So that means every single passenger has to complete every single calling, I think. So that means that for the rest of the season for sure, and I'm guessing the rest of the show, maybe, I don't know, is going to be Michaela and Ben and the rest of them trying to track down each individual passenger, making sure that they follow the calling so that they all don't die. Sounds simple enough, you know, there's only, 100 and something passengers on the flight, so seems simple enough, and now they just have to all follow visions and callings, or guess what, they all die. Okay, so that's what I think is going to happen, and that's basically what I think happened in this episode, is because Jace chose vengeance, even though Corey and Pete chose to redeem themselves and, you know, turn good, you know, for a short, you know, 10-minute period, then even though they did that, and even though they chose the right side instead of vengeance, because they were connected to Jace, and they all had the same death date, and they all came back together, because Jace screwed up, they all paid the consequence and died. Even though they didn't choose vengeance, but Jace just screwed it up for all of them, so, you know. And one of the things I had a question about when watching this episode was, well, what about Zeke? You know, how did he beat the death date? And I think it's because when Zeke came back, it was only Zeke. So the only one that was controlling whether or not Zeke would beat the death date was Zeke himself. He wasn't connected to anyone else the way Pete and Corey and Jace were connected. He's not connected to the rest of the Flight 828 passengers the way Ben, Cal, and Michaela are. So Ben, Cal, and Michaela, their survival is based not only on them following the callings, but also the rest of the Flight 828 passengers. Just like Pete and Corey's, you know, death was the cause of them being connected to Jace. So, anyway, that is just my interpretation of what happened in last night's episode of Manifest. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. I know a lot of people are going to have different interpretations, different ideas, different opinions when it comes to what just happened in last night's episode, so definitely let me know down in the comment section down below. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, drop a comment, and subscribe. And with that being said, I will see you guys later. Goodbye.